Let's get some more perspective on all of this. CNN legal analyst Areva Martin joins me now from Los Angeles. Good to have you with us. I want to focus a little bit more on that one-week investigation and the scope of it. How much do you think can be achieved in this 1 week? Because I have to wonder whether Republicans have pushed this back, hoping that some of the anger and the emotional outpouring will dissipate over the course of another week.
Well, a couple of things can happen, Linda. Obviously, more time would give the FBI, more opportunities to dig into these very serious allegations. But a week can be enough time to address some of the key components of the testimony that we heard during both Kavanaugh and Dr. Ford's testimony. They can look into Mark Judge. We know he's a very critical figure. He was placed in the room by Dr. Ford when she says Brett Kavanaugh attempted to rape her. Mark Judge was also placed at the party where Deborah Ramirez said that Brett Kavanaugh put his genitals in her face. So he's a critical piece of this puzzle. And interviewing him, having an opportunity for the FBI to sit down and look him in the eye, to assess his demeanor, that's a very important part of this. We know the high school yearbook. We know the calendar that Kavanaugh himself has produced. Those are also very key elements to this investigation. And with the right amount of agents assigned to an investigation, I think we can learn a good amount of additional information that can be very helpful to the senators as they make their determination about appointing Kavanaugh to this very, very important position on the Supreme Court.
And we're hearing from the New York Times that at least one other accuser, Deborah Ramirez, might be included in this FBI investigation. How important is that?
Oh, I think it's critically important. Deborah Ramirez is a central figure that has come forward to tell her story. We've heard from some of her friends who've talked about her credibility, who've talked about her and her character. I think she deserves to be a part of this investigation, as well as Julie Swetnick. I don't think we should dismiss her. And I hope the FBI doesn't, close off an investigation of that allegation, because also some very serious allegations were made by Ms. Swetnick about Judge Kavanaugh and Mark Judge being present at parties where there was heavy drinking and where women were sexually assaulted. I think we cannot underscore the importance of the conversation that has been opened up and how women have come forward. There's been a huge increase, over 200% increase in calls to sexual assault hotlines just as a result of Dr. Ford having the courage to come forward and tell her story. So the more we can keep this story in the media, the more we can talk about the story, the more we empower other women to come forward and finally be able to tell their stories in a safe space and to be believed. Because I know, as a civil rights lawyer for decades, it's been really, really challenging for women to talk about sexual assault without being shamed, slut-shamed, and being ostracized, and themselves being accused of being, nutty and slutty. We hear that term a lot. So I think we're starting to see a change in the culture, and it couldn't happen fast enough.
It certainly couldn't. As you say, women are watching this closely. This does matter. And we are hearing from some college friends or acquaintances, if you like, of Kavanaugh who've spoken on scene. And I just want to play some sound for our viewer of one of those women.
That's not the Brett I knew as soon as I met him in college. It's not the Brett I saw during 4 years at Yale. And I don't think many of his answers were credible.
She is just one of two women that appeared on that show last night, basically dismissing his testimony, saying that from what they saw when he was at college, he did drink heavily. He drank sloppily. Yes. How is that going to be taken into account when it comes to his credibility?
Those are pretty serious allegations, and she wasn't the only Yale classmate that came forward. I've seen at least two and have read about other classmates who dispute his allegations about the amount that he drank during college. They say that he often drank to excess, that he became belligerent, that he was often vomiting from having consumed so much alcohol. And although this FBI investigation is not a criminal investigation, if the FBI, in the process of interviewing witnesses, if they uncover information that confirms that Brett Kavanaugh lied to the senators when he was giving his testimony, they would be under an obligation to make a criminal referral to the Department of Justice and possibly pursue charges of perjury against him. So, again, we can't underscore how important it is that this investigation is taking place. It's not an open-ended investigation. It's not, unlimited in terms of time and scope, but it is a critical investigation, and I believe can lead to some very critical information and may even confirmed what many people have said, which is that Brett Kavanaugh is a liar, that he gave false and misleading testimony during the time that he was before the Senate Judiciary Committee.
It certainly is a critical week. Areva Martin, good to get your perspective. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Linda.
Well, still to come here on CNN Newsroom, a major earthquake and tsunami have killed hundreds of people in Indonesia. Now, search and rescue teams are looking for survivors. Also, all eyes on North Korea as its foreign minister addresses the United Nations General Assembly. We'll have the top lines coming out of that meeting in New York after a very short break. Stay with us.